We're going to call the Planning Commission meeting for June 10th to order. And Commissioner Santos, will you lead us in the flag salute?
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, thank you, Chair Stevens. Commissioner Camerata? Here. Commissioner Dever? Here. Commissioner Graff? Here. Commissioner Santos? Here. Commissioner Steinbach?
Here.
Vice Chair Mattingly? Here. And Chair Stevens?
Here.
We're all.
Thank you. And can I just remind everybody that we need to turn on our microphones and speak directly into it so that everybody's voice gets heard. Thank you. Now we'll go into the oral communications. Persons wishing to address the Planning Commission on subjects other than those scheduled are requested to do so at this time. Please provide your name and address for the record. In order to conduct a timely meeting, a 3-minute time limit per person has been established. Government Code Section 54954.2 prohibits the Planning Commission from discussing or taking action on a specific item unless it appears on the posted agenda. Madam Clerk, do you have any written comments?
I've received none. I don't think there's anybody on the call.
Okay, thank you.
Zoom.
Having no speakers, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Thank you. And we have no public hearings, so we'll move into the scheduled matters.
Oh, all in favor say aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we'll move into the scheduled matters. Discussion and consideration of determination of similarity application number 2024-02 to consider retail cigar and tobacco sales similar to notions and dry goods stores as identified in Lomita's Municipal Code Section 11-1.48.02A and finding exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Laura is doing the presentation.
Good evening, Chair Stevens. Good evening, Commissioners. So before delving into the specifics of the application, thought we'd revisit just really briefly what is a ZTA, Zone Text Amendment, and what is a determination of similarity. You know, the two are different processes that ultimately kind of bring us to the same end, which is the allowable use in a zoning district. A ZTA, though, is a legislative process. You know, we start with the Planning Commission public hearing and then to City Council's first public hearing and then go to finally the reading. The findings for a ZTA are, it must be found consistent with the general plan, the whole general plan. That's a lot of policies and goals that it can't be inconsistent with. A little differently is the determination of similarity. It is, let's call it a more expedient, user-friendly process that doesn't have the same time as a faster timeline. It's still a discretionary item, and it can be placed on the Planning Commission's consent as a consent item and doesn't have to have a public hearing. However, the findings, it has to meet findings, just like we would for a variance, a site plan review, a CUP, in order to accept the use and make it akin to a use that had a zone text amendment. So, you know, first it's going to meet the zoning district's intent. It's not going to be more obnoxious or detrimental to the public welfare. And last, finding is it's comparable in nature to other uses. So a determination of similarity defines the business generally. We're not defining a specific singular business, it's a category. And reviewing the similarity when comparing it to uses, we've got to think about what its effects are. Does it have an odor? Does it have a noise? Is it noisy? Does it place a demand for public services, et cetera? What are its operations like to what it's being compared to? And then the nature of the general business use. Is it a retail that we're comparing it to a retail? Is it a service that we're comparing it to a service? And so on. And then last, also factored in with operations, is this the parking demand? Have we clearly, as a staff in the report, explained what that is? So staff going forward will know how to analyze it should it go into a new location. Okay, so that's that for kind of the overview. I can shut that. Linda, do you want to take down the slide? Tonight's specific application is about comparing retail, cigar, and tobacco sales to notions and dry goods use, which is in the CR zone. So we're just talking about the uses in the CR zone. The CR zone is, its intent is for retail activity primarily and with a regional need. So a notion and dry goods store is an older type of use. And we kind of get into, I don't want to say trouble, but the code is very precise and very specific with these uses. And that kind of boxes staff in when they want to review a use. If we want to be careful with what we entitle, these words and definitions have meaning. So, the first finding again is, does this fit? It is allowed in the MC zone, so we have a definition of what a retail cigar and tobacco use is. And so we've applied that definition in tonight's agenda package. And then the question comes, is it more material detrimental to the public welfare of properties in the vicinity? Certainly, while it may be unhealthy, that doesn't make it materially detrimental to properties in the vicinity. Tobacco products, smoking accessories are sold at a variety of businesses as ancillary items. It doesn't create excessive trash or noise or really odor beyond the store. This isn't a smoking lounge. Let's be clear, it's just a retail shop. The next finding we have is it comparable in nature and to a notions and dry goods store? Well, certainly it's a product that the consumer purchases and takes to go, and therefore the parking demand should be similar. And then the last finding, which is just for all discretionary items, is it exempt from any environmental review? And it can be certainly seen with certainty that CEQA doesn't apply here because there aren't environmental considerations that will be impacted. Aesthetics, noise, stormwater, things of that nature. So with that, I am available for questions about this application.
From the commission for the staff.
I have none at this time.
She answered it in her presentation as far as whether it was a smoking lounge or not.
No questions for me.
Now, is this for this particular property, or is it general across the board for that zone now?
Is across the board for that, great question, in that zone now. If we had compared it to a use that was in other zones, then we would also be having to visit whether it met the intent and purpose of that other zone. And I'm only saying that as a rule of thumb, right? But we found a use that we felt was really suitable for the CR zone in fitting with this, tobacco retail shop. I do want to mention, there's going to be a phase 2 to our zoning update, our zoning code update. And at that time, if there's any changes we want to make, we certainly can look at how and where, these shops are allowed. So maybe it should be a CG item as well. But it's right now, we're just talking the CR.
Okay. And it becomes by right now?
Yeah, by right as any
Okay.
other retail shop
Okay, thank you.
or any other notions and dry goods shop.
No questions.
Okay, I just have one question. The site that this is at, wasn't that previously a Green X?
I'm sorry, you said that again, it was previously this use?
Wasn't it a marijuana shop?
No, not to my knowledge. There was one on the southerly side of the street about 7 years ago. To my knowledge, this one, and we don't authorize marijuana in the city for retail sales. So this is not in any way changing that prohibition.
Okay, that was my only question.
Yeah, I think pretty much Laura covered all, so not at the moment. I wouldn't like to say anything. I mean, sorry, I didn't get it. Like, what's your question?
I'm sorry? No, I was just asking if you had anything as the applicant that you wanted to
No,
tell
I
us
think
or whatever.
pretty much you guys covered it all, and then Laura did explain everything in the presentation as well, so I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And just to provide clarification, as we haven't had an application like this the whole time I've been here at least, the code does not say it's supposed to be a public hearing, but as always, you as the chair have the ability to open and close for public input.
Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker cards on this?
I do. I have George Kivett here.
Good evening, Madam Chair Stevens and members of the Planning Commission. George Kivett, longtime Lomita resident. As a general rule, I believe in free enterprise of legal products, which tobacco would be. Although it is a heavily regulated product, the sale to minors is restricted, and there's a lot of regulations as to its sale, and a lot of taxes are collected on it too. But and those taxes do benefit things like, from my understanding, like schools and so forth. But if it's sold in a retail manner, it's not a lounge allowing smoking on site, I think as a general rule, that should be allowed. If it, in this case where it were more of a smoking lounge, then I think that should be a conditional use. Because a lot of the decision on that, I think, would depend on the physical construction of the site. A lot of retail uses, they may have common attics where smoke could move around and things. Even buildings that you might think are freestanding, sometimes they don't have their own wall on one side. I've sold 2 buildings in Lomita without their own wall. So they were relying on the permeability or lack of by the neighbor. But that's not the case here, and I think as a Lomita resident, I would be in agreement that I think this should proceed. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, anyone else wishing to speak? No. Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Camarado, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Santos?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Commissioner Steinbach?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Dever?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Graff?
No, thank you.
Vice Commissioner?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to add, I don't know if you guys are aware, retail, and the sales that the city gets off of retail is pretty good, but on cigarette or tobacco especially, knowing firsthand that the tax on a pack of cigarettes, which is now in excess of $12 a pack, depending on where you go, the taxes on that is approximately $8 or $9. So I think it would really highly benefit the city to let them sell their tobacco to whoever wants to buy it, of age, of course. Of age, of course. So that being said, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the similarity application number 2024-02 as proposed by staff.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we'll move on to communications regarding city council actions.
Yes, so the city council did approve, exactly as you all recommended, the ordinances for Lomita Manor and for indoor recreation. So the indoor recreation second read is set for next week, and it will go into effect 30 days later. So if you know anyone wanting to open any of those fun public social businesses, they'll be able to next month. Upcoming developments and businesses, we finally have an updated sheet for you that was in your packet on that, which is a great segue to staff announcements. Our new intern, Savannah Baca, is here. She created that for you all. She started May 28th. She's in her last year of her Bachelor of Science in Landscape Architecture at Cal Poly. And so today is day 5, and she's been off to definitely drinking through what's it called, the fire hose. But she's been doing great so far. And as one person comes, I am leaving. My fiance is a captain in the Space Force and is getting relocated to Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. So next month, I'm moving 3,000 miles away. But it's been amazing working with you all. I constantly talk about how I've worked in 5 jurisdictions, 1 county and 4 cities, and this is by far the best people I've ever worked with. The most reasonable, the most communicative, the most positive working group that still gets stuff done, too. And so I will be here next meeting. It looks like we might just have one thing on the agenda, like tonight. But I'm here for the next month if you need anything from me. I failed to mention also during city council actions, congratulations to Chair Stevens, who re-upped her term on Planning Commission. That was expiring this month. I believe that's it from staff at the moment.
Thank you, Brianna, and you are not allowed to leave. So just cancel those plans. No, we're going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. You've done a lot for us, and welcome. And it's Maya? Savannah. Yeah, okay. Welcome aboard. This is fantastic. I love this. So, and with that, we will move to commissioner items. Commissioner Camerata, do you have anything to add?
After last meeting, I'm just going to zip it. Not going to say anymore.
Commissioner Santos?
We're gonna miss you. You do a fantastic job. Staff does in general, but you're awesome and you will be missed.
Commissioner Steinbach?
Well, they say lightning doesn't strike twice, but it did with our last two directors of planning. I don't know how I don't know that we're gonna luck out again like we did. You've done a wonderful job. You're sorely gonna be missed. So start finding somebody to replace yourself. Please. Yeah.
That would work. Commissioner Devereaux?
I'm not going to say goodbye because you'll be here next month. So that's when all the accolades will come.
Commissioner Graf?
Likewise. I just have one question on the project list. It still shows that the 16 condominium development on 245th and Woodward still under construction.
They haven't received a certificate of occupancy yet.
Okay. That's all.
Vice Chair Bowling?
Two things for me. First, congratulations, Madam Chair, for re-upping for another term. We're lucky to have you. And second, when I was named to the commission, the first person I met with was Brianna, who immediately made me feel so welcome and so appreciated for my service. So thank you. I know that you make a lot of people feel that way. And Cape Canaveral's gain is our loss. So we're going to miss you.
Thank you. I just have a question. A lot of people leaving. I don't, change isn't good. On this update, there's been a lot of talk on it, our local page that knows all and tells all, that, is the truth. Is there really a shoe store going into where CVS is on PCH and Lomita Boulevard? Narbonne, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Have they passed plan check yet?
Well, they've submitted sign package for a WSS shoe store.
Okay. I was just curious, 'cause I see all this stuff and everybody's talking like they know, and then I'm thinking, well, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, at this moment, they don't require any discretionary applications to the Planning Commission, but that's where they're at.
No, I was just curious if it was true. Thank you. And with that, if there are,
Actually, Madam Chair, I have one question now that I think
Sure.
about it. Have we mentioned anybody's going on Thursday for the grand opening at the grocery outlet?
the ribbon cutting's at 10?
Ribbon cuttings at 10.
7 a.m.
The store opens.
The store opens.
The store opens at 7.
Yeah, it's 7 a.m.
10, yeah, okay.
Yeah, 10 for the ribbon. And then there's a lot of other stuff going on too. I know that the chamber is also doing some giveaways and stuff at 9. So you could just like go for breakfast and hang out till lunch, It's like, but it would be good if anybody who can make the events does make the events. I know we can't all be everywhere at once. So with that being said, if there's no further business.